All right. You all asked for it, and I'm gonna give it to ya. And by that, I want to take the concept that we had started discussing in the first part of our workshop and present it in a similar way, but one that might be a little bit more visual. Because there are those of you who are very good with writing things down and highlighting it this way. And, you know, you're the type of person who might, dog ear pages that are important or slip in notes. And it's notes on notes on notes on notes. And there are others who are just more visual learners. And we can take a similar concept to what we had seen written and make a relationship web, a squished spider diagram, or whatever you want to call it. Dark Druid says, I guess this will be my motivation to start working on the sand casting. Time to order a few pounds of Petrobond. Well then, yes, because I will tell you, Dark Druid, I'm the type that highlights a whole page. Well, Karma, then, one or both, because I know that you do the arts and or crafts as well. So you have, with the eyes of the goat, one looks off on the pages and the other looks off at the visual arrangement of things. But yeah, Dark Druid or Goblin of Gygaxanor, if these are things that you can help me with, I wouldn't necessarily mind working with you to get some metallic representation of the mascots in some way, and maybe I can end up handing them out as a prize, or I could do some sort of an award. Maybe we could have a fun little competition or something, and I can hand it out as a trophy. And plus, if it's a hobby, but you can make a couple bucks on it if I send people your way, I'd love to. Just let me know, because I'd love to see how we can make that work. Man, I'm excited to think like I could actually get a little like bronze or copper or something, a little statuette of the prize goblin. I can do aluminum, copper, brass, as well as make an alloy called Nordic Gold. Oh, Nordic Gold, isn't that that's called Heinz, right? Because there's like 57 varieties of of metal that goes into it. Aluminum, copper, and brass. Well, that right there is sort of a bronze, silver, gold itself. For tiers. That could be very interesting. The only time I've seen someone cast aluminum is people who make videos. They'll go out and they will pour molten aluminum down fire ant nests, or like yellow jacket in-ground nests, and then they'll dig out the nest and like wash it down, and then you can see where the metal formed in all the chambers and all the tunnels, and just how vast the ant nest or the yellow jacket nest really was. 89% copper, 5% aluminum, 5% zinc, and 1% tin. Goblin of Gygaxanor. Oh, yeah, you did mention that. I was a jeweler for 12 years casting gold. I worked at a bronze foundry for a bit until they closed, casting bronze. I've sand cast aluminum. Y'all are giving me ideas. Yeah, ant colony castings. Yeah, it's really, it's, the unseen world. We're like, oh, that's so alien. It's there. It's so common. It's under our feet. But it's really interesting to see it done. If that sort of thing, there's nothing necessarily squeamish to it. But, if that sort of thing doesn't bug you out, haha. Go look up aluminum ant colony castings or the like. All right, so what are we doing? Why are we so gathered here today, everyone? Well, we have our party. We have our characters. And we need to find aspects of them to build out and to find out how they can be connected. We had a we had our way of doing so with highlighting, writing everything out, because this is just a way of organizing our thoughts. And maybe you even do both. This is not mutually exclusive. And you can go back and forth as you discover some things here or there. And you can even take the verbiage of this and drop it into, here's what we know about our hero. Here's what we know about our villain. And then we have our own separate points. Or you could break it down into a lot of other ovals. The standard, race, class, background. The three legs upon the that make the stable stool upon which your character sits. But we can go through and we can list some qualities of each of these characters. And in fact, because we started this whole process with the villain, may I argue that we can have the villain be this central core, and we can begin here before we start making other connections betwixt our hero, our mentor, and the two other friends, sidekicks, rivals. There's a lot of things that we can consider for this. So overall, we know we have someone, a misguided humanoid zealot. Her objective or scheme is influence, specifically to win a contest. Her method to do so is torture, and in particular, thumbscrews. The villain falls when an ancient enemy forgives its past actions. She is a neutral evil, middle-aged, female human Oath of the Ancients paladin with the sailor background. She appears in ragged, dirty clothes or even armor, like we're talking about scrap armor and other scuffed things. We have someone who also hunts the Fae. And so her armor might be cold iron, just like beaten without being heated, looks rough, looks dirty. So clothes in this case could be the armor that she wears. We have someone who is very intelligent, but perhaps something happened that her body's just, it ain't what it used to be. She is not very, she's not very dexterous, so she can come across as clumsy. She's great at impersonations. So she has a high int. Charisma is probably also very high too. She fidgets and is suspicious of people. Her ideal is evil and domination in particular. She's protective of close family members and has a particular phobia. And where all of these clues wound up was someone who entered some kind of knightly order. And there was an encounter with fiends and or fae. Perhaps a nautical encounter. Or she, before she joined the order, she had an encounter, then joined it afterwards. Because maybe her ship sank. Maybe she lost a lot of people. She's protective of those people. She mourns their loss. She joined the order and wants to protect the other knights as well. She wants to win a contest. It's perhaps the leadership of this knightly order. And she does so by just hunting all the fae possible. And just does not see them as anything but animals or murderers themselves, and will take things to extremes, because who's going to care if the fae are gone? Everyone knows that the faes are tricksters, and that fiends don't have souls of their own, so they have to take others, or whatever lore that we want to build in this regard. And it doesn't have to be both. Just because there's a mechanic for both, we're ultimately writing a novel, and we can bend it such that maybe she is just a fae hunter. And she might even wear, if she has thumbscrews, if she captures a pixie, she might even put the pixie as some jewelry here, and just hang the pixie up by its thumbs in cold iron clasps or something. Right? We're still keeping it. Hey, Jurassic Spark!
Red belt.
Yes! Oh, congratulations. For 9 months, we have a Twitch baby, and you have your white belt with a red stripe. Congratulations on that, Jurassic, and here's for many, many more, my friend. Goblin of Gygaxonar says, I've lost more gold on the floor than I'll ever own. We sent the carpet to the recycler when we moved shop. You have a propane oxygen torch at home. I can still do most jewelry work. I already have one. I do not require another. All right, well, no Twitch babies then. Just enjoy your white belt with the red stripe on it. And Brufros, hello to you. So, we have this information about our villain. And we can fill in a lot of these dots. We're not just stuck with 4. I put 4 because, I don't know, just visually it seemed kind of appealing. But really, as long as we can make a connection, we can draw a line up here and put another villainous circle here. We can go boop and make a villainous circle here if we want. You can rearrange this. This is just a standard layout to try and convey some things. So our villain... we have someone who is... You can make a sentence like this. We have an older woman with a stern cause. We can put something in here that relates to other aspects of her background. Lost the innocence of her youth to a tragedy. What other personality traits do we have here? A specific phobia that could be scared of the sea or returning back to it, perhaps. The villain falls when an ancient enemy forgives. And by the way, fall doesn't necessarily have to mean dies, but the enemy is defeated, the enemy is overcome. Again, we're thinking more of a young adult style novel. Now, as the villain, can she die? Of course, we can be open to that, absolutely. But if she does, it's not going to be overtly graphic in how that happens. But in this case, when an ancient enemy forgives its past actions. And in this case, we would need to be... we're gonna call this past involving the Fae. Which both created her and will defeat her. All right, lurk away, Jurassic. Thank you for stopping by and re-upping. I greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, all of you who subscribe, all of that money goes towards getting boxes of minis out to you all on the third Wednesday of every month. And I appreciate it, and I'll always work hard to earn your subscription. And for those who come by and win boxes because of your generosity, I'm sure that they appreciate it probably like just as much, if not even more, than I do, because you're giving me a chance to interact with them, and they're the ones taking home the miniatures to inspire them and to help them maybe even do exercises like this, where you assign minis, physical minis, to the main characters, the villains, the NPCs, and you actually place them almost on a game board. And if you have like a whiteboard, you can place those figures there, draw circles around them, and then connect them with a dry erase marker. Consider that as well. Hi, Rip Artist. Good to see you. Yeah, the fall is the end of the conflict, Brufros. And let's put one more major point about this character. The sea. We don't have a name for it, but this is a big part of the character, just the sea, as a thing or a concept. Now, let's pull some concepts from our hero. Oh, you know what? We didn't give our villain a type. We have someone who's just very focused and single-minded here. Outlaw might work. Honestly, the hero might work for our villain, because she is the protagonist of her own story. It's just her methods are very brutal, and she's so single-minded, other people are getting caught up in what she's doing. A motivated visionary who creates art or structures during the narrative. Their strengths include creativity, willpower. Ooh, the creator could be a strong one. And I don't think we assign the creator to anyone as well. The ruler. Character with legal or emotional power over others. The ruler's strength. I think we put that on the... did we put that on the... The explorer, the magician, the sage. Okay, so we did have a ruler. We could have two rulers. There's nothing saying that we can't, but if we really want to go for a blend of perspectives, it can help to be able to present the story through different eyes, ears, and other senses. I kind of like if we have the hero as our archetype for the villain. So why don't we add that? All right, now our hero is an explorer. Oh, there you go, Goblin of Gygaxanor. So we have a young adult. She is a guild merchant, a smith, or metal worker. So if her family works metals, and she has knowledge of metals, this could be something else as well. Family of smiths has knowledge of metals. Okay, Dark Druid. Hey, do what you gotta do. I appreciate you hanging out. Yep, work away and no accidents. No accidents with the metal or the fire, please. So we have a character naturally driven to push boundaries and find what's next. Their strengths, they are curious, driven, and motivated by self-improvement. They are weak in that they are restless, unreliable, and never satisfied. And we can even just list those aspects of our hero. Let's see, our Valor Bard, so someone who has been sent off to an order. She was born in a temple as well, because there was a lot of other notes for this character. You can watch a past segment if you're on the YouTube and such. But we'll put this connection to a religious order. Sent off for training. And then let's find at least one other big part of her personality here. Curious, driven. Let's see. No, I want more connections. I want people and places. I want people and places for this. So we have the temple. We have the smith and the foundry. Oh, revenge on the evil forces that destroyed my place of business. Which could even have ended up being the Fae, and we can make a strong connection here. Family lost. Family and or forge lost in enemy attack. Okay? And again, we can make all kinds of other thought bubbles and fill these in. Now, for the mentor, our mentor was the ruler. A character with legal or emotional power over others. The ruler's strengths include omnipotence, status, and resources. Their weaknesses include aloofness, being disliked by others, and always seeming out of touch. So we know for sure that she is a member of this school or this academy. That is a person, place, or other thing. And that's this is the lower hanging fruit that we're hoping for. She has a connection with water because in our world, in the world we created, dwarves actually have an aquatic bend to it as well, and so this could be a big play into the events that we have playing out as well. And another person, place, or thing. I'm in it for the money and fame. I'll do anything to prove myself superior to my hated rival. Ah, so we have a rival out there. And I wonder who her rival could end up being. The rival could even end up being a jilted lover, or she's the jilted lover from the rival. I'm a hopeless romantic, always searching for that special someone. Have a good night, Coffee. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed Pokemon and that going through, like, seeing this process play out is continuing to reinforce your own exercises, both for your vampire game and for your D&D game. All right, now we have the Sage, one of the the Sage is one of the companions. And let's pick out a couple things that we know about him. We have someone who's also an entertainer gladiator, so he's in this academy as well. Also a hopeless romantic, always seeking someone special. Now, we were talking about he's an outcast. He's a very edgy, I was saying like mall goth. We have someone who is in this troubled part of the class and the students. He is creative for sure. The world's in need of new ideas and bold action. He idolizes a hero of old tales and measures his deeds against that person. That could even end up being his hero, could even be our mentor. I'll do anything to win fame and renown. And so we have someone, if we have a monk who might have been brought up in the same monastery or other place of discipline. We have someone here who, let's see. What more do we know about our companion? Formal, clean clothes, an expert carpenter. He stares into the distance and has an irritable, that should be interaction with others is irritable. And he is the Sage. And the Sage means A wise figure with knowledge for those who inquire. Strengths of the sage include wisdom, experience, and insight. In terms of weakness, the sage may be overly cautious and hesitant to actually join the action. Athena, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Hannibal Lecter as an evil sage. So he wants to prove himself. He wants to be smart. We haven't really had any indication of any sort of parental influence. If this is something like a boarding school, he might have been sent away, maybe for being the edgy, the edgy teen that he is. So there could be a very negative, negative family life. Sent away. Scared deep down. Probably, if we have our nature cleric, could be where he was picking up this mastery of the elements as well. That might manifest through his wood elf nature, or whatever alternative bend we want to give this character. Have a good night, Woden. Thank you for joining us as well. Searching for a special someone, creativity, the world's in need of new ideas, and bold action. Let's see. So he is probably like the class president, right? Wise figure with knowledge, and wisdom, experience, and insight. So while we have someone who's older, he is definitely more the asserting control. He always feels like he has to. It's an impulse. It can't be helped, which would lead into his chaotic evil alignment in that he is impulsive and he's selfish. So he is a student council leader. Yeah, we could just leave this at student council even. And lastly, let's get one more thing from our sage character here. Oh, you know what? This person probably has an area that he just goes to in order to brood and create. We have someone who's full of creativity and impulses. He's gotten a bad rap for it. I mean, have you all known any kids with... maybe even yourselves, that were very impulsive, maybe like an ADHD sort of a thing, and maybe you were listed as a problematic student because of that, because you were having trouble concentrating, because your brain was just always churning things over, and all these ideas kept spilling out of you. But maybe this you or this other kid or just you can conceptualize, just kept getting pushed in a corner for it and almost punished, such that he was lashing out. Because deep down, this kid idolizes someone and has that lighthouse in a fixed point on the horizon. Fluffy Sheep says, I was too busy learning to go to class. Yes, don't let class get in the way of your education. Fluffy Sheep, absolutely. That is a tried and true Mark Twain quote. And so this character has a secret hideaway and collection of art in some variety. This is Helga. This is Helga from Hey Arnold, who has his secret shrine to Arnold made out of bubblegum and with tufts of his hair or something, right? It may not have to get on that level, but you get what I'm saying here. So we have a place and a thing. We're having these elements come together. Let's see. Then we have our companion 2 is the magician. Let's see. We said that she was a sheepling instead of a tiefling, as the tieflings in this world are more herbivorous. They might have horns and hooves and strange eyes, but that's just because of their ancestry, right? And we were saying in our setting that these are people who have come from a different place. And so here we have the next country over, or she's an outsider from another country. Growing up in the mountains. A sheep? Yes. Yeah. So we have aquatic dwarves in this setting, and as a fun little, like, one step to the side, the concept of a tiefling, they have horns, they have hooves, they have funny eyes, but instead of a fiery blast for a hellish rebuke, it is force damage, like being butted away. You know, sort of like a get out of here. They have tails as well. And I was showcasing how we can take a core idea and change a lot of things without getting bogged in the details, like bogged down in them, by just referring to something that we know and has a familiarity and just changing one aspect. So instead of a fiendish descendant being a tiefling, we have a herbivorous descendant that is that would go on to create the sheeplings. It's really goats that have the weird eyes. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both. You know, we can call them goatlings if you want. I mean, we have Karma the goat and Fluffy sheep. Like, you know, it's not like, never in twain shall they meet. There's some crossover there. Although, maybe we can call them something else. Do you know offhand? Sheep and goats, do they share a they must share a part of their family, like what kings play chess on fine glass stools. So kingdom, phylum, kingdoms, or kings play chess, class, order, family, genus, species. Somewhere in there, Fluffy sheep or Karma, I don't know if you're still hanging out. Where is they're all bovids. Okay. Oh, you know what? I was just showing off that gross bovine Australia shirt to Capo Drazi. So they're all bovids. So they you know, we can call them like just bovelings. I don't know. Just call them bovids even. But the concept is they are sheeplings instead of tieflings, as the quick elevator pitch. Sheeps and goats are more closely related to each other than either is to cows. But I'm not sure there's a word for just sheeps and goats. Unlike a boots and cats. Boots and cats and boots and cats and sheeps and cows and sheeps and goats. So they're all at least common to bovid. Maybe there's an attachment somewhere else on kings play chess on fine glass stools somewhere there as well. Now, she was a sailor who came over on a boat as well. Experience sailing. Faced loss on the ship. She's kind of like the exchange student in the class here. She's the quiet outsider, and she just ends up kind of getting bullied by everyone. Rip artist, I have no idea what to make of that. Apparently, the subfamily for sheeps and goats is Caprinae, and they are called Caprinids. As in Capricorn. Oh, all right. So there we go. They're called... So, I mean, we could just call them like Caprinids? Caprolings? Caprolings? Nope, that's fine, Rip Artist. Well, then, there we go. Like, I don't know if we have... Karma the Goat in here, too. So the concept was sheepling, but fluffy sheep. If you would like to be an honorary contributor, since we're making a story out of, we're using D&D as a common just a starting point. But, I don't know, if you can come up with a name, they're tieflings, they look like sheep and goat people, I guess. So they can be whatever. They are humanoid bovids. That maybe bovids would extend to minotaurs as well, and these are cousins to them. Hi, Rad Trails, good to see you. So we can even have a whole, a satyrling. Woo, a satyrling. Oh, Dark Druid. You brought up a very good point. Because our magician here, a powerful figure, has harnessed the ways of the universe to achieve their goals. We have a tiefling or a sheepling, multi-class paladin of devotion, archfey warlock, chain. So of course she's gonna have a little familiar sheep or something to go along with her. So this could actually be a fey descended or a fey adjacent person who is going to go on to make a connection with an archfey. And of course, that is going to be something big. So we can put connection to the fey by heritage and archfey pact. All right. Now, we can always add more, but this did a good job establishing things. And there's a couple more things that we're going to add in as well. I will get to that in just a moment. But now we can start seeing where you and I can play some connect the dots. So, of course, we have the character who is directly connected to each of their own circles. And in a sense, you can connect the sailing ship to being an outsider if you want. And each of the lines will give you somewhere you can write a detail or the name of the connection or something along those lines. But now let's go to let's put some lines on our villain. We know that these are all direct connections. However, the C can directly connect with here. And if you want to say it's one way and make it one color with an arrow, we can connect it that way if we want. And there's room for notes here. We can have a connection between our villain and our mentor through the concept of that she's an older woman with a stern cause. And so we can fill this out like thus. And this can be a shared connection back and forth. And where we see here, there might be a slight difference. This could end up being in our writing a point of questionable interaction. Now, we all know that the heroes, well, the hero and the companions, are going to have a connection to the school or the academy as well. And so we can end up making a line that goes here. So there is an indirect connection to the mentor through the school, but the hero may not have a direct connection with the mentor. Otherwise, we would have rerouted this arrow directly to the mentor. Though I can argue that, let's see, that companion and then this companion is going to the school. However, there is going to be just a straight up connection between this companion and the mentor. Because they share, he is already in the school, maybe not just newly arriving or such. And there's such a strong personal bond between these two. You can just directly connect this character with this character. It makes for a nice twist at the hero's self-discovery moment. Yes, the betrayal. The betrayal, the commonality. This is helping us discover those crossovers and those plot points. The villain has a connection with who she is as this anti-Fae paladin. With the fact that our Capra friend, I'm amused that the Latin for goat is Capra. So if you know the famous Capra family of filmmakers, all goat folk. So she has a direct conflict with these people. But it may not be returned. We don't have to put a return arrow because this character may have no knowledge or no animosity. However, she could end up being the thing, or the Archfey, I should say. The Archfey here ends up being the connection here. And this is something the villain doesn't know. And this is something that this companion doesn't know about the villain. So the two are connected, just more like this than like this, and perfectly matching up. There's still contact being made, but it's not a direct contact. Yeah, the mentor, I think, is very much a good anti-hero. I'll be right back. Hold on just a moment, everyone. Gotta go to the break screen real quick. And we're back. Hello, everyone. Ba-ba-da-bum. Let's get back to our scene, such as we have seen it. All right, hi. All right. Sorry if I missed anything here from you all. from you all while I was up and away. Oh no, Zrock is down to 0 EXP. Alright. So you can see how this is very useful in making connections. And you might find that anything that the villain does is inadvertently going to shift elements of these characters directly or indirectly. In fact, for all we know, the villain might play a direct role with the mentor. The family of Smiths who has knowledge of metals might actually have been the ones to have equipped the villain with the tools of her torture, because they were the ones who were making the cold iron armor, the cold iron devices. And that could even create some animosity here as well. And so she is taking the heat from her family and making a connection that actually enabled the villain, which can be compelling storytelling, but also would be a moment of tension with this companion character when it's found out that the family of Smiths might have done things that were bad for her descendant from her 4 Billies and 4 nannies. I guess that's more goat than sheep talk. But then this creates tension here. We also have the fact that between the hero and the villain, not this, family and or forge lost in an enemy attack. Boop. And let's return the boop. This is a strong point between these two. This is a strong point between the two. And we're really creating a nice dynamic between the hero and the villain, with the others in the cast here, the other like secondary characters, playing strong parts in moving things around them. Now, there was one other concept I wanted to bring up, because we could spend hours doing this, and I don't want to spend hours doing this tonight, but we can have something a little bit more fleshed out for you by the time this whole process ends. You probably saw that there is a list of classes and roles. Now, this could go on the written form and or this form as well. But if we take a look, we have a monk. And traditionally, by the way, if you want to know what I'm accessing here, I will... Have a good night, Zrock. Thank you for hanging out. Dark Druid says, too funny, I was right. Some wannabe hacker has fallen into our honeypot and thinks they are in some secure system, lols. Our NOC red team has already reverse shelled the script kiddie's computer. In other words, can you break that down in computer normie speak for me, Dark Druid? Did you take control of the hacker's computer then, or? So as you can see, broadly in 5e, there are defining roles that the party members take on a mechanical basis. And this is broad enough. I don't really care about the specific spells. I want to talk about the concepts, things that we can have a lot of fun and write into existing and have the necessity to exist as we as the author need. Just as we have the character archetypes here, I want to make sure that the people in the party have a particular role that they can fill with the things that they do. And so our primary, we have a Valor Bard. So let's go down here, and what do we have for bards? Bards are controllers, faces, healers, supporters, and utility casters. Whew, that's a lot. And some of that could even overlap with others. So, in order to try and keep things more split out, what if we do this instead? One of our characters is a monk. Monks, broadly, are scouts or strikers. If we take a look at the personality of our monk is the sage, a wise figure with knowledge for those who inquire. Strengths of the sage include wisdom, experience, and insight. In terms of weakness, the sage may be overly cautious and hesitant to join on the action. Also, he lurks. He has his out of the way place to create and think. He lurks. He looms. He's, he hangs around. In this case, our monk, I think, is going to be a much better scout-style monk for how we want him to convey what he does. Because others can be strikers for sure. And so if we come down here, let's write 4 elements, monk, scout build. And what does that mean? Stealth, scouting, and trap finding. Could be an infiltrator, sneak in, look at stuff, maybe take some stuff, find and disarm traps, things that can be done. You can set off traps with your water whip or other things where, click, and then, something comes smashing down, but instead of smashing on your head, it smashes on the water whip that you used, or on the puff of air that you used on something. So we have someone who's more of this scout style. Now let's take a look at we have someone who's actually split between Warlock and Paladin. Is there something that both can kind of do here? They can both be really good blasters. They can both be faces, but she is kind of shy. They can both be strikers, and striker might be where we see a strong suit for the quiet one who needs to grow into her power, because right now charisma is her dump stat, and she's supposed to be a paladin and a warlock. But this is a tale of growing up, of growing into oneself and learning, maturing, and refining. And so she might end up just being a striker. Single target damage or disable, throw a pile of damage on things, or save or suck. Many spellcasters are excellent disable strikers. And maybe especially with Paladin, it is she might be like the save or suck style striker. And so let's go here, and we're going to come over to the other companion here. We have a devotion paladin. Chain Phalok. Striker build. Now let's take a look at the mentor. The mentor is interesting as well, because she is a nature cleric and valor bard. A nature cleric and valor bard. Is there somewhere that clerics and bards might match up together. We have a healer, a support, and a utility caster. And in this sense, maybe she mixes support and utility as the mentor, as someone who teaches, and someone who's been around a long time, meaning she's needed support. She's needed to ingratiate herself with others, to live this long, full life, to get the people she pursues after. And she's allowed to be overpowered because she's the mentor. So it's okay if we give her a greater repertoire, so to speak. So we have a nature cleric / valor bard, support, and utility caster. Now, this leaves our hero. And if we want some an interesting take on things, we just have a Valor Bard. That is who our character is. And let's take a look one more time. Bards can be controllers, faces, healers. And we don't have this. However, we might have a bit of a face with our mentor or another. Oh, also, hi Puma, welcome back. And Miller, hello. Miller, I have a capsule to pull for you in just a moment. Let's look at her personality one more time. Naturally driven to push the boundaries and find what's next. Their strengths: they are curious, driven, and motivated by self-improvement. They are weak in that they are restless, unreliable, and never satisfied. She talks about her profession. She's a snob who looks down on those who can't appreciate fine art. She believes in her talents. And if we come up here as well, she endures. She is tough. Also, the accident that so saps her self-confidence. What if this means that her build as a bard leads her to actually be the healer? I'm sorry, Dark Druid, you were explaining things, and I had missed it, but yes, we will see you again shortly then. Some dummy tried to hack one of our networks, and our team dumped him into a fake network while they reverse hacked him, allowing us to log and track everything they try and do. Ah, okay. Chase, I can put it out here for you. You might have come in right after I got done sharing this. And don't forget that we also have her as the Explorer. Naturally driven to push boundaries and find what's next. Their strengths are curious, driven, motivated by self-improvement. Self-improvement. I think we have someone. Now, if we want to be overpowered in a sense, we can have the face, especially of the kids, right? There's 3 kids in the mentor. We can probably call her a face and a healer, which would lead to a fun, not necessarily an irony. Oh my goodness, we are being visited from abroad. Channel Yui It is a pleasure to have you here in the Hero Zone. It's awesome to see you. What were you up to? And hey, thank you for the raid. Yeah, I obviously remember you all. I'm so happy to have you stop by the store. You're just chatting. Oh, excellent. And so in this case, I think that she can learn about herself. Right, she starts from a bit of a stodgy, reclusive position. She's a lot more dynamic character than the other two companions. Not that they can't be, characters with growth and a dynamic personality, but the main story is going to focus on her. But if we have someone who has self-doubt because she has been hurt, she's lost 2 fingers, she feels that has ruined her adolescence, that has ruined her chance at being a great smith or a great student or something. The others are going to come to rely on her when she is facing great self-doubt. And in this case, we have a Valor Bard who I think is going to be face and healer of the group. Because this means that all the rest of them are going to need her healing. If not physical, through magic or some such. Remember, the medicine skill is psychological medicine, not just, squishing up herbs into a potion or something. You were baking? We did a maid baking stream? Oh, heck yeah. And now, Yui, what did you bake? Were you going pastries? Was it more bread? Something along those lines? Now, some of you out there, if you remember, you might go, I don't know, are we making a Mary Sue character? Is this, Jack Los Cortatore? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm trying to figure it out. Jack Los, Cortatore? Please let me know. I want to pronounce it correctly. And if I mess it up, I'll keep practicing until I get it correct. Having her start behind everyone in age and in power and in knowledge, I don't think is going to turn her into a Mary Sue style character if she is both the face and someone who can end up offering emotional or physical or mental healing to each of the characters, maybe even including the villain, which in healing in this case could be the offer of a redemption arc. Now, whether or not she takes it as the villain and the villain dies or the villain is redeemed or the villain is banished or something, who knows? But now if we look at it this way, each of the characters has a unique trait. Has a unique trait to focus on. A set of skills, of magic powers, of whatever. And we can go back and we can build the characters in their character sheets along this route and how they're going to grow up and level up throughout the course of this. In fact, we can even go through with the villain as a paladin offering a distinct set of skills that is going to be different. We can have a face, but it's an opposing face. As the villain as well, we might have a face and a striker, or someone that we haven't met a defender yet. So she could just be a straight up defender. She is tanky. She's hard to bring down. She is stubborn. She is aggressive. She constantly pursues her targets to get them. And this gives her a unique set of skills apart from the other heroes that are chasing after her ultimately. And then we have the clash. And we see what can happen. I've heard of opposable thumbs. Now we have opposable faces. Yes, not quite face-off style, but we have face characters that are opposing. You can call me Jack. All right, Jack. Making biscuits? Ooh, that sounds tasty. Now, do the biscuits have anything in particular? Do they have a lot of butter in them? Maybe some cheese sprinkled into the biscuits? Are they going to be had later with some sort of a topping? A jam, a jelly, or apple butter, or something like that? And remember, we have the hero. Does the defender counteract the hero, who rises to meet a challenge and saves the day? Remember, she's the protagonist of her own story. Their strengths are courage, perseverance, and honor. Overconfidence and hubris will be her downfall. Nothing goes against the fact that we can make her a defender, just someone who perseveres, who is relentless in that regard. Her personality and her functionality are not going to be opposing. And you know what? If we don't want to make the hero a face, and we want to go healer and maybe controller, because what is controller here? Yep, that's the classic party makeup here. Control movement on the battlefield, wall of fire, and other effects which control movement. Or crowd control, status effects and hindrances which affect large groups. Hey, over here, look at me, or something along those lines. If you want to have it be, if you don't want to go face and healer versus face and defender, then instead we can have or controller and healer. And then over here, we have face and defender. Oh, welcome back, Jurassic Spark. I think she made butter cookies. I missed the first part. And chocolate cookies. Oh my gosh. Jack, I both appreciate the fact you're giving me the play-by-play on what was baked, but also, now those sound really good. Man, fresh baked cookies. Let's give a shout out to Yui here. Please make sure to go give her a look. I've been happy to raid into Yui on a couple other occasions. So our support characters are a little bit more one-dimensional. They don't necessarily have to be flat characters, but they are going to be flatter than the developing and dynamic hero. Our villain is going to be just sort of a flat power level character here. And then our mentor is going to have a little bit of overpoweredness, especially compared to these two characters, but may not necessarily end up being a major part of the conflict, where it's just up to the three scrappy kids to bring down, old man McGillicuddy, who's trying to take over the mansion on the hill and get the will for whatever in a Scooby-Doo episode. All right, it's not going to be quite like that. Don't give up on the story because I said that. But the mentor is support and utility casting. Not that she can't put up a fight or do cool stuff, but the cool stuff is going to help the kids ultimately get to this point and get through it. And we can go down and we can keep filling in the boxes here with the things that we've seen here, or the things that we have written down from this companion piece as well. And I didn't get to it, but I guess one last note before this wraps up. You can go back into each of these write-outs or write-ups, and you can pull pieces of setting inspiration, NPCs that exist because this character does. Villain inspiration, we can find, that's finding connections. It's a written out way of doing what we did visually with our little squiggly lines, especially because we can always go back and we can continue to highlight some similarities and overlaps. This is just in a text-based form. But I hope this was very useful in seeing the party come together and to start forming some cool concepts and interactions that the heroic party will ultimately have. The bittersweet similarities. Will the hero become like the villain, as the villain was once like the hero? Will the mentor be redeemed or join forces or be villainous herself? What can happen with, the skulking goth kid, the edgy loner? What will happen with the shy, quiet kid who's playing a paladin warlock and has a dump stat of charisma, mechanically speaking? There's a lot of dynamics, especially when we see the relationship between all of these characters. So we know when one part of something is affected, how it could ripple across the others. How the villain can do one thing, and all 4 of our characters will react differently to it. And even if they're all upset at the thing, they're going to be upset for different reasons. Or maybe 3 of them are upset, and one of them, maybe it's the mentor, is just too pragmatic and says, that makes sense, and we don't honestly stand a chance against her. And then, of course, the scrappy kid's like, no, we'll do it anyway, and, Hi, Diadems! Yes, Diadems, we do have a fluffy sheep hanging out, or was, will, in the future. We have a temporal sheep, can exist in past tense, present, or future tense.